Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, what are their current feelings towards you? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Girasol Quartz, along with this card which says Volcano, Volatility. Group 2 is the Amethyst, along with this card which says Lake, Stillness. And group 3 is the Rose Quartz, along with this card which says Milky Way, Perspective. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and fill whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the cards and the crystals so that you are able to better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Girasol Quartz, along with this card which says Volcano, Volatility. So just real quick to channel based on these energies, it feels like there are a lot of repressed feelings that this person has for you. This may be a newer connection, so maybe this is somebody who's on the brink of getting ready to say those big words, I love you. This can be something where you may have even had a fight or a disagreement with this person. Maybe this is a no contact situation for you, and there seems to be a lot that they want to communicate and express, things that are weighing heavily on their mind, a lot of regrets as well, maybe about some impulsivity on their part in the past, things that may have happened kind of in the heat of an argument, in the heat of anger, things that were spoken without really thinking about these things very thoroughly, and the ramifications, the repercussions of that. And so for a lot of you, this can involve somebody who's thinking about reaching out, thinking about confessing something, thinking about, expressing kind of things that had passed them by previously. So like missed opportunities, for example, a lot of passion, a lot of attraction, a lot of chemistry that they have towards you, or something that they're feeling very adamant about, that they are being directed toward or guided toward or feeling very compelled to express to you. So I'm going to start with some tarot to get kind of an overview, more of an overview of the energies between you and this person right now, and some introductory kind of information as far as their feelings and their thoughts towards you at this time. Okay, so we've got the Chariot, which is Cancer energy, the High Priestess, which is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, the Moon, which is Pisces and Cancer, Ace of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, Queen of Cups, so more water energy, and the Four of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. So this is definitely somebody who is feeling a lot for you with this Queen of Cups, and this kind of lid on the chalice here. This does talk about pent-up feelings, pent-up emotions, something that this person is really holding on to. Either that you may have said to them, that they have been mulling this over, they've been contemplating this, they're starting to really crystallize some sort of wisdom out of things that you had spoken. This is really tying into the idea of somebody who may have misconstrued something that you said. Maybe it triggered them, angered them in a certain way, and there's been a bit of reflection upon all of this. in kind of the stalemate between the two of you, the silence which may have developed, the two of you kind of going into your opposite corners to really think about things, maybe stew on what occurred in the past, that this is not something where they're just kind of moving forward and forgetting. They're holding a lot of emotions, maybe even some hurt feelings towards you. And again, this desire to kind of open these lines of communication. With the moon and the high priestess, it definitely feels like somebody who has been holding their peace. They've been holding on to something. It's a desire for restoration, to bring some kind of greater wisdom to you as far as maybe their motives in the past, what they have learned in this period of separation. The Chariot speaks to wanting to really dramatically sort of turn the page on this situation, to pivot out of the energies you currently find yourselves in with one another, and to really head in a new direction, something that is more constructive. There's a desire to work with you as opposed to continue to fight with you, or even fight and suppress some long hidden feelings. With this idea with the moon here and the high priestess, I mean, these are major arcana energies. So these are very big. These are very intense. This is along the lines of, maybe even somebody that is a friend that is wanting to let you know that they have deeper feelings for you, that love has grown for you, it has developed for you. It may have been something that was very startling, very overwhelming. It started to really trickle in. It may have led to a lot of agitation and even triggering on their part as they were trying to stuff this down, deny it, and suppress it, and almost maintain kind of the status quo between the two of you in whatever way that looked like. So like a friendship, for example. But it's getting harder and harder to contain that. There's a desire to bring forth some kind of truth and communication, and it feels like something where they're in a holding pattern right now, though, kind of strategizing, contemplating how to bring forth that truth without kind of like making matters worse, adding, more fuel to the fire and creating further heartbreak or grief between the two of you. If this is something where it's a person wanting to confess feelings or deeper feelings, or the fact that they still have feelings for you, there's a desire to want to come in a way that restores peace and balance to you, rather than kind of sets off a domino effect of, fights and disagreements. There may be a bit of uncertainty as well as far as how are you going to receive this. Somebody who's really tapping into their intuitive knowing, into kind of more of these subtle senses within them, to really sort of pick and decipher, like, is this the right time to make that move forward? Is this the right time to really release what I've been holding within, to say what I need to say? So I'm going to get into some oracle cards to get a little bit deeper into this as far as the nature of their thoughts and feelings for you beyond, again, out of these 6 cards, 5 of these have the energy of water. So a lot of deep feelings that they have for you, big feelings, major feelings, feelings that they're not wanting to just express and then, leave it at that and kind of walk the other way. But this is the energy of wanting to develop upon these things, wanting to make some kind of gesture, offer, expression in the hopes, that this is something that you will consider this, that you won't turn them away, that you'll listen to what they have to say. There's an energy here of like hoping and praying that you feel the same way too, either that you're willing to work through these differences, or that you're reciprocating these feelings in kind, that you feel the same way. If this is something where this has maybe been long hidden or repressed within them. It's almost a sense of like hoping that you're available, hoping that your heart's open to either reconciliation or to expanding on the parameters of your dynamic with one another at this time, like the current definition of what you are to one another. And there's a desire to move forward, to kind of arc that narrative in a different angle, leading more into romance, less out of like a platonic energy and more into matters of the heart. But so let's get into some oracle cards and dig a little bit deeper into this, into the nature of their current feelings for you. Okay, we have clouds, shape-shifting, Gaia, nurturing, fairies, magic, caching, soar, and territory. So right away, this territory card, it's bringing to mind the idea of this person wants to lay claim to you as theirs. There's an energy here of either wanting to restore the balance in this situation between the two of you, to present some kind of wisdom or knowledge that they have unearthed during the period of maybe some distance or separation between the two of you, with this idea of soar, to kind of transcend beyond any sort of stalemate or blockage. Or even kind of transcend sort of the layers of what that definition is of your relationship to one another at this point in time. So if you're friends, they're wanting to become something more. If you're casually dating one another, it's the idea of like laying claim to you in terms of we are each other's exclusively, monogamously. If this is something where you've been monogamous, you've been in a relationship for quite some time, this may even have to do with kind of, the giving of a promise ring, maybe an engagement, something that just solidifies this layer of commitment even more than already exists at this point in time. If there hasn't been any kind of like fight or disagreement between the two of you, it's looping back over into this volcano volatility, that there may be a sense of pressure almost, or awkwardness. You can tell that this person has something that they want to get off their chest. They have something that they want to express, but they've been very closed off about this, very tight-lipped about this. This may be something that's even kind of making you sort of wonder. Your mind is going everywhere with the clouds and the shape-shifting, kind of all these thoughts, like what's the catch here? Is the other shoe ready to drop? Is this person going to break up with me? Like, what's happening? I can tell that they have something that they want to express, but they're not doing that at this point in time. And it's like a very palpable sort of like tension and pressure that feels to be developing in this situation. But, it's indicating that this is largely positive, or they have very kind of benign intentions towards you. This is something where they're wanting to really re-infuse sort of like the magic in this connection, with the idea of the earth magic and the fairies, restore some degree of romance to you. Or if this is kind of like a confession to take things to the next level, it's wanting to make sure that this is almost, it happens like a fairy tale in a sort of way. So this may be somebody that's planning some kind of like an elaborate proposal, planning some kind of an elaborate get-together, meeting, place of reconciliation even. This doesn't feel like the energy of somebody who's just going to reach out and say, hey, how's it going? I miss you. I want to come back, or I want to come home. But this is almost something where they may be planning a lot behind the scenes, kind of like orchestrating things, taking their time. And that could be why there's this element of secrecy here. It doesn't feel that, any of this is apparent through things that they're telling other people, things that they're putting on social media in some kind of way. They very much have like an iron wall down in front of what it is that they're doing. They've got their poker face on at this point in time, which may be adding to this layer of sort of distress within you if you're still dealing with this person, because you can kind of pick up and perceive that there's something else here. There's something going on behind the scenes that they haven't exactly come clean about yet. But again, it's this energy of trying to sort of plan something very romantic, plan this very kind of like impressive return to you. The idea here with the Gaia and the nurturing, this is like Empress vibes. So again, really wanting to lay claim to you as, their special person, as the person that they're wanting to build a life with, or to try to reconstruct and to sort of bring back the magic into this connection. Maybe it's something where it's gone a little bit stale, and this could be somebody who's planning on how to add some more spicy energies into the connection with you, something to really sweep you off your feet and to help you see them from more of the lens of love once again. Things that may have become very kind of like comfortable or boring. There's a sense of like branching off into new territory, a different part of this person than you have been exposed to it up to this point in time. Different aspects as far as like highly romantic gestures that they are wanting to bring forth to you. It's a sense of really wanting to make you feel very emotionally nurtured as well, rather than kind of like continuing to fight these feelings and run from these feelings. If there's been a period of time where they've maybe needed to sort of weigh the head and the heart, it almost feels like their perspective on the whole situation and the nature of their feelings, or the way in which they've been showing or expressing emotions up to this point point in time with you, all of that has really changed. There's a tenderness within this person. There's a desire to see, especially if you're in separation, like, are these little seeds of potential between the two of you? Are those still viable? Can you move on from this point? Is this something where you can transcend the obstacles that you had experienced together in the past and move on into some new territory? Some new aspect or avenue of this person that they're wanting to demonstrate to you, a hope that you will change your mind, that whatever this gesture is that they're in kind of like the planning stages or the contemplation stages of presenting to you, there's a hope that it will be enough to kind of ease any tension between the two of you, that it will be enough to help you see them in a new light. If this is someone, expressing these feelings for the first time, feelings that have long been buried and hidden within them, it's almost this hope that whatever they bring forth, in a very gentle way, in a way that is not triggering or alarming to you, there's a hope that you will be able to expand your perspective of kind of who they are to you at this point in time, and can entertain the idea and are wanting to kind of work with them. We'll see sort of the magic in this, in the blossoming of this new potential between the two of you, so that you can expand and explore kind of these uncharted waters, this unexplored territory between the two of you up to this point in time. So it's a very sweet and romantic energy. Definitely, if this is somebody that you had, had a fight, had a disagreement with, there's a lot of regret here. There's an energy of wanting to bring some kind of restoration to you, wanting to do their best to try and like soothe the wounds of the past, to try and, provide some kind of emotional outpouring, some kind of an emotional gesture, to really sort of help you to begin to trust them again, to help to sort of soothe these wounds between the two of you so that you can build and expand beyond this point. There's an interest here in not having this be the end of your story with one another, but wanting to almost expand and explore something else. But it feels like the energy where if they're going to come back towards you, it's going to be from a gentle approach. Something where they've really got their heart on their sleeve. It may be a demonstration of emotions that's quite uncharacteristic for this person, or just a way of them kind of talking about their feelings, expressing their feelings, kind of in the ideal way, what you would always hope for. And they are now in this energy of understanding that that's kind of the best course of action moving forward. There's a desire to show you their heart, to show you a softer side of them, to express a lot of these long-held emotions, or, even kind of this long-held regret at kind of how things may have fallen apart, things that were spoken in anger, any kind of like explosive or volatile energy, any kind of like a clashing or a lack of meeting of the minds between the two of you. There are feelings here of regret, a lot of feelings of, affection, devotion, and tenderness that they still have towards you, that is guiding them on this path to bringing something to you that can hopefully course correct from how things kind of unraveled between the two of you in the past. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self, and then I'll get some initials to close out the reading. Okay, and they say, I was lost in my self-destructive ways. So that is that energy of the volcano and volatility, a lot of regret over things having, that were spoken in the past, or even like missed opportunities, that they are wishing that they could turn back the clock and do things differently. But obviously, since that is not possible, it's a sense of trying to find their way back to you, find their way back to peace, hoping that you will find it in your heart to forgive them, or to open up to the idea of restoration. with this energy of kind of leading from a very emotional place, leading with the heart first, as opposed to, maybe more of the ego mind, or in a practical way. It's almost like they're surrendering to the fact that they are very much drawn back into your direction. And so for those of you where this is somebody that like reaches out, makes some kind of confession, or brings forth an apology, it may come in a way that is very unlike how they are usually talking. There may be, a level of vulnerability and intimacy, maybe even some tears that are cried for some of you, that may just be a stark change from what you've been accustomed to regarding this person up to this point in time. It may take you aback, kind of what they are showing you. It may be something where, you're almost just kind of like stopped in your tracks and really on this observer mode, seeing a side of them, seeing this display on their part, this tenderness that you may have always had the inclination existed within them, but up to this point in time had not really been the predominant energy that they had been showing to you. But there is a desire to fast forward beyond this kind of roadblock that the two of you find yourselves in. They've been thinking a lot about this and any kind of like distance between the two of you, and there is a desire to sort of bring that forth. If this is somebody that would be confessing feelings for the first time, or maybe trying to take things to the next level, it's this energy of they've been holding these feelings or this desire for quite some time, and this element of kind of like the self-destructive ways, it's relating to almost like this pattern of somebody who allows opportunities to continue to pass them by. This may be somebody that has a lot of regrets within, a lot of the woulda, coulda, shouldas that may have really weighed them down in different areas and aspects of their life. And so through what they're attempting with you, or what they may well attempt with you in the future, this indicates kind of efforts to break free from these patterns. They're taking a step into a new direction, running after their dreams, honoring that truth of their heart, rather than just continuing to kind of hold and suppress that, as may have been the tendency for them in a bigger way. They also say we have so many beautiful memories. So a lot of nostalgia at this point in time. They're thinking back on things that have occurred, and kind of the happier times between the two of you, and a desire to move back in that direction, or to further the creation of these happy memories. If this is somebody who's wanting to, express these deeper feelings and kind of pivot the situation to the next level of commitment. There's a sense of not wanting to lose that opportunity to build with you, not wanting this connection to just fade into something in their memory, a sense of like, if they don't act, if they don't express something, there's a bit of fear of you kind of moving on in another direction. If they don't do something to kind of solidify this situation, then there's a sense of, maybe very fearful of other competition that could arise in the future, or that they may even sense is around you at this point in time. They also say you are constantly on my mind. So that is that Four of Swords energy, and coupled with the idea of any sort of like quiet, any distance, any complete blocked communication at this point in time. This person is heavily thinking about breaking that silence, breaking the ice, and bringing forth some kind of expression to you, a heartfelt expression, kind of an outpouring of all of these loving feelings, some pressure that has been building within them, and it's almost becoming more and more difficult for them to kind of hold that back and repress that truth. They also say I messed up big time. So that is that energy of regret, the apology that they are knowing is owed to you. And this is something where if they had been fighting that, pride and ego had been kind of an issue in the past, this is something where they're pushing their way beyond that. They're no longer wanting to sort of sit in that energy of being too stubborn to open up at the heart level. Time and space has not been able to erode these feelings. They have only grown for you with time, a desire, a magnetization back in your direction. There's like a longing and a heaviness in the heart space at the memory of kind of what had happened in the past, missed opportunities, and a deep desire to course correct with you in the future. They also say karmic lessons. I'm very weak. How do I heal? To move forward again, I must feel this pain. So that is that energy of that heaviness, that heartbreak, a lot of regret over what has happened in the past. Maybe these patterns and tendencies within them to mess up a good thing. This could have been something where everything was going along really well between the two of you, and the level of intimacy and feelings may have been very overwhelming for them. They could have, stirred up an argument, started a fight, created chaos, almost in the anticipation of, I better, subconsciously thinking like, I better sort of ruin this before I get left out in the cold. And that, what might have been sort of the trigger mechanism within, the wounded part of them within that was sort of leading them astray. Once they came to the other side of that, of kind of the dismantling of this connection, sort of like tower energy here with the volcano. This realization of sort of like, what have I done? And really wanting to course correct, really wanting to make up for lost time, to try and soothe your heart, to try and repair the damage that has been done. And it's something where if they had successfully for a period of time kind of stuffed and suppressed this and moved in another direction, it's getting more and more difficult to kind of keep a lid on these feelings. There's a lot that's wanting to come forth. There's a sense of urgency here that in order to kind of provide healing for you, in order to provide the possibility of restoration, and also to, in a lot of ways, alleviate this heaviness they feel within, there is this knowledge that they need to bring something forth to you by way of an apology or some kind of like truth that they've been holding in for quite some time. Also, if this is somebody who has not yet declared feelings for you, this is again kind of the ache that it's becoming harder and harder. It's that pressure that it's getting more and more difficult to kind of resist and keep this bottled up. The more time that they spend with you in whatever kind of platonic capacity that is at this point, or if this is sort of an early connection, and the more they spend time with you, it creates this kind of elevated feeling of, I want to move this forward to the next level. I don't want to go through the remainder of my life always wondering what might have occurred if I had just opened up and expressed myself. They also say, soon you will see we are one. I am from you, you are from me. So this can really tie into the idea of something that you may have mirrored to this person in the past that could have been very triggering for them. This could have to do with, kind of the level of love that you represent, or the visioning of love. This idea here with kind of the Gaia and the nurturing and this Empress energy that it might have really, as much as the connection might have been a lot of compatibility between the two of you, a lot of this, good times and beautiful memories that you had been sharing, it was almost like that love reflected to them kind of a sense of lack within, a sense of like, I don't know if I feel worthy of this in the long term, which may have caused them to kind of subvert the connection in some kind of way, to sort of kick into these destructive patterns and, really sort of do their part, play their role, in picking a fight or being very agitated, because again, they're trying to just kind of like hide away some sort of trigger rather than opening up and allowing this kind of communication, a communication of hesitation or fear, or a deeply buried sense of lack within them, to allow that to be a point that strengthened the bond between the two of you. It's almost like they allowed this to be a dismantling factor in the past, and that they have reflected upon this, and there is this desire here to create that balance and restoration, to provide you answers where they may have left you with a lot of uncertainty before. This also really ties into and reinforces the idea of like wanting to become one, wanting to become a couple, wanting to take things to the next level. If there's not been any kind of like fight or disagreement, you're not in separation, you're still kind of like dealing with one another. This is somebody who's wanting to elevate the situation to the next level with you in a very beautiful and positive way, to become closer rather than to move apart. And they also say, I hear your thoughts, you hear mine. Cosmic love links us together. So there's this sense of really wondering and questioning, like, do you have the same intentions and feelings as they do? Is this something where, as much as they have maybe changed their mind about the pace at which the connection was developing, or things that had happened in the past, and, kind of an energy almost of, if the two of you went into separation, sort of like, are you open to the idea of kind of reframing your thoughts of them? Are you open to the idea of seeing this person in a new light? If they express these emotions, if they express more of this vulnerable part of them, is this going to be something you're going to be receptive to? It almost feels like somebody who may be kind of deliberately tapping into your energy at this point in time, trying to just sort of feel things out, sort of dip a toe in the water. This energy of thoughts, it's also bringing to mind like Page of Swords energy. So this could be somebody who's like watching from afar, watching on social media. Maybe that could even tie into the idea of like this a sense of competition, that you're maybe getting a lot of attention, or there could be one person or several people that are directing you a lot of attention, maybe just in a platonic sense, but it's been enough to really fire this person up, to make them almost very jealous and territorial, which may have been very startling, especially if this is like a friend kind of an energy. They may have needed to take some time to really unpack that within themselves, really dig into those thoughts and say, what is the nature of all of this? Why am I feeling so possessive of this person when that's not the definition of who we are to one another? This feels to be somebody that's come to this almost boiling point that they need to, they need to open up these lines of discussion. They maybe are just admitting to themselves for the first time that they actually have deeper feelings for you, and that there's a desire to explore this, to kind of see if you can see eye to eye on this, to speak some kind of truth rather than to just keep this dwelling in that mental space and kind of repressed within as a questioning and sort of this what if. And they also say, let's manifest love. Thoughts are manifesting. So again, this is more confirmation of someone who is really thinking about speaking some kind of truth, making an offer, bringing an apology, confessing feelings, telling you that they love you, all of what they are wanting to bring forth. It is with the desire of restoration, of providing healing, of providing clarity, of moving into a softer energy, kind of out of this volatility into this gentleness that at one point in time you had shared with one another, or that they're hoping you can continue to kind of move towards as the connection perhaps evolves in some kind of way. There's a tenderness, there's a gentleness, there's a lot of deep emotions that they have for you, things that have been lingering within for quite some time. If this is an apology that comes in, it may even come in very quickly, this communication. It may be very kind of brisk and abrupt and sort of all of these things tumbling out all at once. But it feels to be something that almost might be due to the fact that there's been so much buildup and pressure. They've been wanting to speak this for some time. They've been wanting to show you this side of them for some time. That kind of initial trying to get their foot in the door, it may come out a little bit clumsy, but on the other side of this huge kind of initial watershed of emotions, there's a desire for consistency, a desire for reciprocity, a desire to see, are these seeds of potential between us still viable, or the things that we haven't explored yet in our connection? Is this something that we can nurture together? Can these grow into something stable? Can we build from where we are, how we define ourselves and our situation currently, into something else, into something that love is the center, love is the theme, rather than kind of the path of fear and repression, or any kind of disagreement, fight, or anger that had taken place in the past. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got P, W, L, W, S, U, S, C, H, B, C, O, G, Z, and Y. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of readings surrounding topics other than love and romance, so things such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So I thank you for your support over there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Amethyst, along with this card, which says Lake Stillness. So just real quick to channel these kind of introductory energies right here. This can definitely be somebody that communication is blocked off between the two of you. This may be something where this is someone who has pulled back their energy. You've pulled back your energy. Someone may have told you that they needed time to think about things. They weren't really sure what they wanted, or if they could even give you what you're wanting at this point in time. Maybe this is something that has just recently happened, or you've been in kind of this stalemate energy with one another for quite some time. The momentum that had been building in the situation, it feels that it's come to this abrupt kind of like crossroads sort of energy here, where there's sort of this decision to be made. Do we stick with this? Do we push through? Is there more to be experienced, to be accomplished, to grow out of this situation, or have we kind of reached the end of the road with one another? You could be deep in thought. This person could be deep in thought. It's very difficult to read them. Almost something may have really triggered them and they could have really shut down, gone silent, or gone cold. Even if you are in a connection with them, it feels to be just a period of pause. Not necessarily where it's an uncomfortable silence, but it's definitely just sort of almost like in the eye of the storm in a certain manner, that kind of the next step forward in whatever way that happens to unfold between the two of you, that it's definitely going to change kind of the path of where you have been with one another up to this point, and where you are headed with one another going forward. This may also be somebody who's really kind of putting on a front, putting on an appearance that everything is fine, that they're very kind of unbothered by the circumstances between the two of you, but with this idea of lake and stillness, and although it's very placid on the surface, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Despite the appearance that they are trying to present, this is somebody who's deep in thought at this point in time. There's a lot happening in these emotions, in the emotional body. Maybe somebody who has a very difficult time expressing emotions in general, and so that can be kind of this roadblock that you've reached with one another. Is it kind of evolving to the next stage, speaking about what's on their mind, speaking about their feelings, maybe even just displays of affection could be very difficult for this person. Their love language may not exactly be communication of emotions, but it could just be consistency, spending time with you. And so kind of this impasse that you find yourselves at, of you really needing to explore and to sort of come to a place of compassion for kind of their limits and their needs, emotionally speaking, and a challenge that they are faced with to kind of break outside of their comfort zone in some way, break outside of their shell, and bring some kind of declaration forth to you in a way that's not typical for them. It's not natural. It's not the natural way they kind of go about dealing with feelings, dealing with big emotions, small emotions. Definitely somebody could be very emotionally avoidant in general. So I'm going to start with tarot to get more of sort of an overview of kind of the situation potentially between you and this person, and anything that comes up at this point in time as far as what are their feelings for you currently. What are their thoughts and feelings? What's going on behind this kind of like wall of silence, or this stillness? Okay, we've got the High Priestess, which is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The Magician, which is Gemini. Judgment, which is Scorpio. Seven of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. The Empress, which is Taurus and Libra. And the Nine of Cups, water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. So these are big feelings that this person has for you, with 4 out of these 6 being major arcana cards. The High Priestess does indicate it's a confirmation of this idea of kind of behind the stillness, behind, kind of this placid exterior, somebody who just says, oh no, everything's fine. And they're not really opening up to you. You've kind of like reached a roadblock or a plateau in a certain manner as far as what they're expressing, what they're demonstrating about their feelings. A lot is left to the imagination in this circumstance, but it's almost like still waters run deep. It's maybe something where this person's getting a lot of signs and intuitive hits about you, kind of this inner knowing that this connection is significant. This is something that is worth investing in, perhaps even to resurrect, with the idea of judgment, somebody who's wanting to come back in from the past, who may be actively behind this kind of curtain of stillness is trying to manifest a fresh start with you, trying to almost like work up the nerve or courage to express to you just how much you mean to them. That in fact they do really appreciate you. They miss your presence. They miss your light in their life. The times that they have spent with you have been very joyous. This may be somebody that just kind of has a very difficult time, they may take a very serious approach to things, maybe a very logical and practical person, yet you bring out this kind of lighthearted part of them that may be very difficult for them to sort of ease into that. It's almost like they become so comfortable in sort of this stern energy, very business-oriented energy, and you almost kind of make the inner child within them feel very safe and protected. This may be something which is very overwhelming, feeling very drawn towards you in that sense of sanctuary and security and safety to just be themselves, but at the same time it feels to be something that may have almost threatened kind of a learned or developed behavior to kind of like repress and hide these things in a certain manner. It's going to be somebody that feels very disempowered when it comes to the element of emotions. It's not their usual love language is kind of talking about their feelings, romantic kind of like words and phrases and poetry. This may be outside of their scope. Not that they're needing to, necessarily write you poems, but in some way it's almost their understanding, or maybe even you had expressed this to this person at some point in time, like, I need to know more about how you're feeling. I can't just intuit this, although you may be somebody with psychic abilities, strong intuitive knowing, kind of sensing what they feel, that there's been something that has been presented, maybe like an ultimatum, something that they've been thinking about with this idea of the Seven of Pentacles for quite some time, almost like, how do I go about doing this? How do I go about sort of taking what I can sense exists within me, within the heart space for this individual, and kind of expressing that out in a way that sort of meets this criteria, honors this person in the way in which they are worthy of being honored. It's almost like a special place that they are wanting to create for you within their life. Or, a sense of, if they had kind of like taken you for granted before, the loving energy, this joy and this light that you bring toward them, and any kind of like distance between the two of you, it's almost that they're finding it difficult to really smile from the soul level. That might tie into this idea of like the lake and the stillness. They're kind of just going through the motions, but everything else in their life feels very surface level. You added some kind of depth and purpose to them that they're having a very difficult time kind of cultivating or finding for themselves in other ways. This is the energy here too with the Magician and the High Priestess of a lot of magic that they sense between the two of you. Again, like synchronicities, downloads, intuitive hits and knowing, a lot of dreams that might be coming through to them, and that they're just sort of observing all of this, trying to kind of connect all the dots in this situation, knowing that this connection with you, these feelings for you, these are more than just average feelings. They have never experienced something quite like this before in a connection with another. And it may be something that is very outside of their comfort zone. It's very overwhelming to them in terms of what has really been opened within the heart space. This idea of judgment can also talk about somebody who, may have been through difficulties in their past, kind of shut down their heart to love. And somehow you've managed to reach them. You've managed to kind of like resurrect or reignite this fire within them that they thought had gone out, and that this could be very overwhelming to them as well, where they're needing to just kind of like withdraw and process, or they've really been kind of examining and looking at this, but it's almost the sense of kind of like they're understanding that if they don't do something to either bring this connection back online in a better way, or if they don't do something to kind of demonstrate to you, prove to you just how much you mean to them, that they're not going to find another connection like this again, and that the whatever, even if they pulled back into themselves, whatever loss they are feeling in terms of the warmth and connection and the intimacy between the two of you that you at one point in time were building toward or shared, there's a sense of kind of like feeling that they may almost be lost, or just kind of like a wandering soul, if they have to move through the rest of their life without you being more of a tangible part of that reality in a very practical and 3D sense. So there's a lot of like higher level energies here, and also this kind of contemplation about how do I take these feelings, this kind of spiritual element and dynamic to this situation and ground this down into the material reality. How do I kind of move beyond my comfort zone and the ways in which I'm comfortable talking about and expressing my feelings, to myself first and foremost, then let alone to another person. Beyond that, how do I move beyond my typical tendencies in such a way that it kind of like honors this person that creates so much joy within me. So that's really, it feels like the bulk of their concentration at this point in time is again, still waters run deep, behind whatever they are not showing, almost like a mask or just a very kind of neutral sort of energy, efforts that they're making to kind of like cloak or disguise their energy at this point in time. It's a lot of examination of these things, in a sense of almost like seeing these signs, maybe feeling the time's a little bit off. They still need some more time to kind of process all of this, to make sense of all of this, a sense of waiting for some sign, some sort of sign, an indicator from you, maybe almost hoping, in a sense, if this is someone you find yourself at a distance from at this point, almost like, should I reach out or should I wait for this person to be the one to make the first move? Almost kind of like the ball's in your court. You decide what we do moving forward. But that this is something that in other ways, in kind of like subtle energetic ways, they're trying to almost will this into being, trying to almost like call you forth or summon you forth into their reality, to do that heavy lifting of kind of breaking the silence between the two of you, so that they then have kind of the right sort of situation or opportunity to then open up about, what has been kind of on their mind for a while, what they have discovered, what they have realized, or to work maybe even in kind of a subtle way, sort of a still way. This is not like, this huge outpouring of emotion, but it's somebody who almost just wants to have that opportunity to flow back in your direction again, or to, in hopes that sort of like very gently the situation can evolve beyond kind of where things are at this point in time. It's kind of a passive energy here, somebody who's kind of struggling with sort of like, what's the right approach in this situation, sort of just like sitting there and basking in this realization, or in this period of like contemplation about these emotions, who you are to them, what all of this means, but they don't necessarily feel to be at this point of like deciding kind of what to do about this going forward. They're kind of in the thick of it, just observing all of this, feeling all of this within themselves, and feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or that silence is almost just the best kind of approach at this point in time, until they have more certainty, or get more answers, or even like divine intervention takes place, or maybe even you're the one to sort of open these lines of communication, do that hard part for them. So I'm going to get some more oracle cards to dig a little bit deeper into this, as far as what their current feelings for you are. Okay, we have Eagle Communion. winter solstice, reflection, summer solstice, radiance, teamwork, warning, and displacement. So this displacement card really does tie into that idea of feeling the loss of your light in their life through just kind of withdrawing into their shell, this winter solstice energy, this reflection, kind of as a trigger point for them. This may have just been sort of a default reaction, and they don't feel good within this space, but they don't necessarily yet feel ready to emerge. They're putting you on a pedestal to some degree as well, wondering kind of like what they are able to provide, what they need to do within themselves in order to be able to kind of match your frequency, match your vibration, to be able to bring something forth to you that is worthy of your consideration. Sort of a questioning and a questing as far as like, how do they move beyond their comfort zone, move beyond sort of their typical love language of being very present, showing up, being consistent, spending time with one another, to open up these lines of communication, to really speak these higher truths, to talk about long-term plans, to be able to kind of come out of this rut or this holding pattern the two of you find yourselves in order to be able to turn the page moving forward. This idea of teamwork does tie into that energy of sort of hoping that you might be the one to break the ice, to do that work for them, to take the assertive approach in all of this, and be the sort of the first one to make that move forward. A sense here of they will follow your lead. They see you and feel you as somebody who represents the sun in their life. You are their world. You are the center of their attention at this point in time. No matter what they're kind of presenting as far as this unbothered mask, this kind of cloak around that heart space, there's a lot of internal attention that is fixed upon you. You may be seeing or perceiving this person energetically, like seeing them in dreams, seeing a lot of signs and reminders of them, almost like the focus upon this deep sort of like contemplation and consideration of forward momentum. How do we move from beyond this place? How do I work with the tools that I have at my disposal, with kind of these predispositions within me to maybe be very practically minded and not so much leaning into the space of the heart, talking about feelings, expressing feelings in a tangible way? How do I sort of gather up my resources and push into a different direction? All of this feels to be something that they are acutely focused on at this point in time, and may almost be sending out these vibrational indicators or cues to you, to where you might feel your energy being pulled on at this point in time. Almost like this person is just kind of tugging at you, like you do something, you be the first one to make that move. This may actually have been something that led to this period of stillness. You may have been the one doing all the heavy lifting in this circumstance, and you'd given them an ultimatum, like, I need you to show me something different. I need you to, really tell me how you feel, to demonstrate this love, to be more consistent as far as like opening up, rather than just being kind of like closed off in the heart space with this idea of the stillness here and all that watery emotional energy. That it's almost, with the warning, they're feeling very triggered at this point in time, almost like they're not necessarily ready yet to kind of like dive into these deep emotional waters. But at the same time, like if you were the one to sort of break this silence, it doesn't feel to be something where they're necessarily fully going to turn away from that, but they may almost be a little bit aloof, just kind of letting you do all the talking. They're just listening. They may still kind of stonewall you at this point in time. It feels to be something that there's still kind of some blocks in the heart space that are needing to thaw within them. They're needing to almost sit out in the cold a little bit more as well. The distance that they have created, some kind of wound or pattern within them that has been triggered or exacerbated by these feelings, by this situation, it feels to be something very necessary for them to really move into this empowered energy. Regardless of who's the one that makes the move forward first, they need to be in a place where they're able to reciprocate with you. Like if you're initiating that conversation, let's talk about feelings, let's find a way forward from this. They can't just continue to be in this passive sort of energy, or it continues to sort of loop into a cycle of lopsidedness. And this person seems to understand that to some degree, which is why there's so much focus. Kind of how do we get from where we are to where I'd like to be in this situation? It feels like they're taking a lot of personal responsibility for this task. It's something that they're trying to like find a way through, opening themselves up to guidance, and maybe even prayed about this, asked for a sign, show me something, show me the way forward. They may be in a process of kind of like learning and evaluation, some of them even coming to understand themselves as like an emotionally avoidant person, and sort of an aha moment, an epiphany that may have come from that. And this energy of kind of needing to relearn some different skills and strategies, pick up a different ability to open up, beyond their comfort zone in a certain manner, to displace or to discard some of the tendencies or woundings of the past that may have led to maybe even like inner child wounds, for example, some kind of a mother wound, some kind of an abandonment wound, where they almost then sort of took on this role of sort of abandoning themselves, abandoning the nature of their own emotions, or needing to show up for themselves first and foremost to be able to open up to you in a deeper manner. But they're very kind of triggered into silence at this point in time. It's almost the energy of sort of the idea of like fight, flight, or freeze. This person's on freeze mode right now. They're just kind of stunned, just standing in place, sort of blending in with the scenery. A lot that's happening inside, a lot that they're observing about the nature of these feelings, a lot that's happening spiritually, a lot that they're being, shown by way of signs, dreams, synchronicities, all that stuff. But it's just, they're not necessarily feeling very empowered. It's kind of like, how do I move with all of this information into a stance of, I'm going to take action, I'm going to express this forward. There is a desire to evolve beyond this. This isn't somebody who just wants to stay in this stalemate forever, but they're feeling at this point in time that it's almost like they need to remain very aloof from you, very detached and very removed, maybe like literally silent, or to continue to just operate in this self-protective shell, kind of this icy fortress, until they're able to kind of break themselves out of that, sort of from the inside out, rebirth a different version of them, like a phoenix from the ashes, out of this old kind of way of being with you, or just approaching emotions in general, so that they can show you a side of them that is more confident, that is more of this equal match for sort of this pedestal that they put you on. They're wanting to find a way to kind of rise up onto that themselves, so that they're able to sort of meet you at that matching vibration and frequency. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self, and then I'll close it out with some initials. So let's see, what does this person want you to know right now? Okay, and they say, you were the best thing that ever happened to me. So this is tying into the idea of somebody who really feels that you were the sunlight in their life. You brought a lot of joy and happiness to this person. You awakened something within their heart space that has been very difficult for them to really reach and access on their own. It's something that it's definitely a struggle to kind of, keep this sort of mask of a placid sort of exterior on at this point in time, when there's so much sort of like churning within them. The way in which you've touched their life and touched their heart, this is something that's it's unforgettable to them. It's very unmistakable to them that what they are feeling is different from what they've known before. You're very unlike the rest. There's something very unique about this situation, and this is really contributing to this focus that they have on kind of like, how do we move beyond this point? How do we pick up these pieces? How do we move back into this space of warmth and intimacy that we once shared with one another? They also say, I messed up big time. So a systematic process of kind of withholding their emotions, running from feelings, maybe even shutting down to you in this connection. There's a lot of regret with that. There's an urge to move back towards you, but again, the sense of that they need to cultivate something within. They need to learn some kind of like new skills or, of communication. They need to start to understand and accept the nature and range of their own emotions to be able to bring forth something to you that is authentic and kind of is worthy and deserving of the frequency that they recognize you being at, and kind of the energy of a pedestal that they may be putting you on a little bit. They also say, I abandoned a good thing. So more of that energy of somebody who's kind of pulled back their energy. They may have just completely cut you off, ghosted you, blocked you, stonewalled. They're in their shell at this point in time. They're not opening up about what they are feeling, what's going on within. And it feels like something where there's a lot of regret, opportunities to, maybe strengthen the bond between the two of you, either by not running, or if you're still dealing with one another, a sense of, each time you ask them what's wrong, what's on your mind, what are you feeling? And they just sort of say, I'm fine, or they deflect that, or they give you very little, as far as those displays and those declarations. It's something that really just, they reflect back onto that, and they feel very foolish for that. That it's almost like every time they reject this warmth that you offer them, this sanctuary that you offer them, this safe space to be vulnerable, they're almost like abandoning or thwarting this gift of this very safe space that the universe has provided them in the form of you in this connection. And they also say, I know I caused you so much pain. So this may be something that, with all of this kind of cold energy, especially if this is somebody that's just kind of cut you off and, disconnected, that they're acknowledging here that they have left you with a lot of questioning, that their kind of like wounding and pain has now inflicted kind of the shrapnel of that onto you. You have now had to suffer because of this kind of sense of lack within them. And it feels to be that it was never their intention to try and almost bring your vibration down to that level where they are operating at. And nevertheless, it's just kind of like that hurt within them has now subsequently inflicted hurt upon you, and has really created a wedge and a barrier and a lot of difficulty in the situation that they're struggling to sort of find a way beyond at this point in time. They also say, what you can't see, our divine plan, trust in our story. So this is tying into the idea of a sense that like there's an unfinished symphony between the two of you. There's unfinished business. They're not wanting this period of silence or decision that they've made to kind of like run or cut off communication. They're not wanting this to be the end of the story. There is a yearning to bring forth some sort of communication, but they feel to be somebody that's still in the process of learning to trust in the nature of their own feelings, to discern and to decipher what it is they're really feeling, what these triggers maybe, and these kind of warning signs, things that may have caused them to run from this situation, flee from the situation, freeze, or just shut down, in general. Kind of what's the nature of that? What's the genesis of that? How do they work around that? How do they unlearn that within themselves? How do they discard that and displace that and build in its place something more constructive? Something that is more, equal give and take, that there's reciprocity there, not wanting you to have to be the one to do all this heavy lifting, to carry the weight of this connection, to be the only one who's open about your feelings, vulnerable and honest. They know that they owe you more than they've shown up to this point in time, and that they're hoping that they can get to that point a little further down the road where they can show you a different version of themselves. But at this point in time, it's kind of like, they're having to like reroute or create a new plan of action forward that involves certain skills within that they may still be in the process of trying to cultivate or master as far as communication is concerned. And they also say, feeling you by my side, everything melts away. Know we are in this together. So this is kind of that winter solstice, summer solstice energy. There is a desire in this person to break the ice, to eliminate this element of silence between the two of you, to ease back into communication, to flow towards happier times with you. But at this point, they're frozen in place. They're very fearful of kind of what their actions have led to, what their reactiveness has led to, the feelings that they are now engulfed with. Behind this wall of stillness, they've not been able to outrun whatever has been like stirred or awakened within them. Now they're all alone with that sunshine energy that they feel from you, this like light energy. This is now at a distance from them. So they're kind of in this place of personal darkness, and are tasked with becoming that light in and of themselves. This feels to be something that's it's very daunting, and that could be why they're reaching out for you energetically, almost like trying to pull on your energy, sort of take a little piece of that to help them find their way through this labyrinth that they have created for themselves. They also say 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We still move forward in our twin flame dance. Yeah, so you may resonate as a twin flame. This person could be your soulmate. This is also that idea of progress that you had made, good times that you had with one another, other sort of roadblocks and hiccups that you had successfully traversed with one another. And then maybe very unexpectedly, something got triggered. All of the work that you had put in with one another up to this point in time got dismantled or disrupted in some way. They are acknowledging that this is not helping the furtherance of this journey with one another. This current situation is not where they want to be with you. They want to give you more. They want to be able to show you more. They want to be able to trust themselves enough to let you into their heart, and to bring forth and express to you the nature of these feelings. And it's a sense of kind of like, even though they've fallen back, they're still very much forward-minded. They're still looking at kind of restoration at some point in this situation, but for now they're needing to just sort of sit within and kind of evaluate what has led to this period in your connection and what can they do to course correct from here. And they also say, put your worries behind. Twins exchange heart energy. Feel peace in your soul. So they may be sending you loving energy from afar, very deliberately sending like prayers on the wind, kind of like well wishes each evening and each morning, something you may be picking up on. All the energy and the attention they're directing your way, it may be popping up in the form of signs and synchronicities as kind of that ripple effect, the idea of energy flows where attention goes. And this is definitely somebody who's fixed on the emotions that they have for you, the ways in which they didn't exactly do the best job of demonstrating those in the past, and sort of this impasse that they find themselves in about how do we move forward when I don't know how to explain the nature of what I'm feeling to myself, let alone to open up and express that, including the fears and all the intensity to this other person. So I'm going to get some initials now, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got S, T, S, G, Q, K, E, O, T, B, W, N, O, H, X, and Z. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of readings related to subjects other than love and romance, so things such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. And I thank you for your support over there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose the rose quartz, along with this card, which says Milky Way perspective. So just to channel very quickly about the energies with this card, some of you may resonate as star seeds, so this can be a confirmation for you. You may consider this person to be a past life soulmate, somebody who there was this immediate sense of like deja vu, a lot of signs and synchronicities surrounding this connection, something that really pivoted or sparked an awakening or an ascension journey for you. There may have also been a lot of kind of round and round with this person up to this point in time, kind of like breaking up and making up, promises made and sort of some follow through and then regressing back into old patterns, a sense of feeling very stuck or limited, maybe even somebody who, has kind of kept you at a distance from maybe their friends and family, somebody who has sort of kept you as sort of this hidden or secret interest of theirs in a certain manner. It doesn't necessarily feel to be anything where there's like third-party situations involved, but this is almost just somebody who has been very hesitant to go public with their feelings, to bring you into their world to a greater degree. It's almost just like, the two of you have this very kind of like secretive or even like an otherworldly connection with one another. But in terms of the practical things that couples do, a sense of really bringing you in or incorporating you into their 3D mundane reality, this may be something where they kind of dig their heels in. They're very hesitant about that in a certain way. It can be something as well where you come from like different types of worlds, or this could be a long distance connection, kind of like oceans separate you, worlds apart from one another, cultural differences, religious differences, age differences, background, economic status, goals, dreams, hobbies, what you do for a living, your political views, just everything about the two of you could be almost like polar opposites, and yet there's this deep sense of soul recognition of unity between the two of you. There's this deep kind of bond between the two of you, and I'm hearing an odd couple. So something that even like on the surface, you almost look like you'd be a mismatch in a certain way, and yet there's this symmetry between the two of you that goes beyond kind of these mundane circumstances, mundane conditions. This is something where it may feel very otherworldly or out of the ordinary, almost like a divinely orchestrated connection, or a sense of, something where you have even needed to take a step back from this person and from this connection, maybe due to some patterns and habits that they are involved in, some kind of addictions or like personal darkness that they are struggling to deal with, they're struggling to break free from. And so this may have been you that has kind of exited the building in this situation, almost like focusing on yourself, maybe, disconnect or distance between the two of you. And instead of kind of like remaining very fixed in place, you've chosen to sort of use this circumstance, use these experiences as something to pivot you forth into that better or best version of yourself. You may be a very changed individual in a lot of ways from the point when you first met this person, or if there has been a separation between the two of you, since whatever it was that fell apart, you may have gone into hermit mode, but it almost feels to be something that the byproduct of that is that you have ascended in a lot of ways. You may not even be the same person that this individual was dealing with before in a lot of ways. And so rather than sort of a reunion, it would almost be like a reintroduction to one another once again. And this also may, with the idea of kind of like Milky Way and perspective and longevity, this may be somebody that you've known for a long time. This could have been a long standing kind of like back and forth. You've been going through this process, through this journey with one another for what feels like lifetimes or even a long period of time. In this particular lifetime, this may have been somebody where there's been a lot of time that has separated the two of you since you last spoke to one another, since you last were in contact, to where again, so many changes have taken place place that it's needing to reintroduce yourselves to one another rather than just sort of pick up where you left off. But also with this is an energy that no matter what distance or obstacles have kind of separated the two of you before, in your dealings with one another in this lifetime, you're always able to kind of like resume this dance with one another, as if no time has passed at all. So I'm going to start with some tarot to get a little bit deeper into kind of the energies of the circumstances between you and this person, and some introductory kind of messages and clues about what they are currently feeling for you and about the connection. Okay, so we've got the Eight of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Page of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Five of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. King of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Ten of Pentacles, so more earth energy. And King of Wands, so more fire energy. So with this Eight of Wands right here, this can indicate a lot of telepathy between the two of you, a lot of heart-to-heart conversations that you have had with one another in the past, a sense of almost you have a lot to talk about with one another, or a lot that needs to be sort of talked through, or a lot of catching up to do. If you were to come back together and sort of like reopen this situation with one another. In a lot of ways, this person does view you as wish fulfillment with this Ten of Pentacles here, but they also may be somebody who's very much tied to or absorbed in some kind of like a family dynamic. This can be a family business. This can be expectations that their family or, kind of their culture or their religion has sort of imposed upon them of how they need to move through the world, that in certain ways this connection may be in opposition to. Again, that idea of like opposites attract here with the two of you. And even though this is like Pentacles and Wands right here with these two kings, it's almost the idea of like oil and water in a lot of ways, that there's the ability for the two of you to blend, and yet there are certain kind of innate differences between the two of you that although you find common ground, it may be something where it's like it's a little bit out of place in sort of this life that they have, for example, some kind of structure that they've built for themselves. This may have been something that, is sort of like a make or break point between the two of you, or it may have been something that caused them to kind of move in another direction, maybe pressure they were getting from friends or family, to choose a partner that was more along the lines of sort of what looked good on the surface, what fit into kind of normal for those particular circumstances or that sort of scenery that this person finds themselves in. It does feel with this King of Pentacles that this person, despite any distance between the two of you, any kind of like lost time between the two of you with this Five of Swords here, kind of like a lack of communication over a period of time, they still feel very protective over you in this connection. They still keep a watchful eye upon you in the material world. It feels like the whole time that you've been at a distance from one another, they have been observing you. And it feels to be from kind of this lofty perspective. And it could be something that has to do with like fake profiles, for example, on social media, but this feels to be something that's a little more sophisticated than that. Whatever that looks like, whatever this person's means and method of doing that, of that kind of observation, it's more than just somebody who's hiding in the shadows. This is somebody who remains very aware of what's going on in your life. This could be somebody that has a lot of different people who kind of report to them the goings on. They regularly check in. This may even be somebody who, does like deep kind of Google searches. They like to know where you're at, what's going on in your life. They keep enough of a view on you that sort of other people that come into your life, maybe people that come forth with romantic intent, they're almost kind of like vetting these people out as well in a sense. They're keeping track of all of that. Sort of, what does your social circle look like? What are you doing with your life? What are you doing for a living? It doesn't feel like creepy stalker sort of energy. It's almost just, there's a sense of someday we will reunite. We will come back together again. A lot of deep feelings, a deep bondedness that this person feels with you, almost like you're theirs, or in some way you're precious enough, rare enough, unique enough of an individual that it's almost, they just feel this like protective urge to you in a certain way, that they can almost see things that maybe you can't, from kind of like a bird's eye perspective in a certain manner. And it almost feels to be something that, like, if it became necessary, they'd find a way to get a message to you. Maybe if a warning was necessary, at different points in time, in various ways, they may have intervened to prevent some kind of like loss or sabotage in your life. It's almost bringing to mind the idea of like a protective, kind of like a guardian angel sort of energy. But not in like an energetic sense. This is in like a practical and material sense. This person may have a lot of resources or wealth, even a lot of connections in different sort of ways, to where it's almost like they're allowing you to live your life. They're not trying to encroach or intrude, but yet they keep this kind of protective bubble of observation around you to make sure that you're safe. This is the kind of energy where it's almost, in times of distress or fear, they may have also even sort of perceived an energetic call from you. This may have caused them to sort of invest some kind of resources, or direct more of this substantial attention your way in order to sort of figure out what the cause or the culprit of that was. This may have been somebody who went to bat for you at different points in time, has stood up for you in ways that you might not have anticipated. Again, it's the idea of kind of threats towards you, or some kind of, sort of like sneaky or duplicitous energy, or, people that were just kind of like cruel or unkind, people that you might have known in common. It's almost this energy of somebody who, without really telling you in ways that you're not aware, despite what's happened between the two of you, they're still kind of like your biggest protector. They're your biggest fan. They're not going to let anybody kind of besmirch you in a certain way. They're going to do their part despite whatever distance or disconnect you are experiencing right now, to ensure that you're able to continue to move toward abundance in your own life. Like, if they're not able to be that role of that person right by your side, they're going to do their part to make sure that the way is clear for you, nevertheless, in whatever way that they can. This may be somebody that has some kind of social influence. They may have pulled some strings for you, or they're putting in a good word for you. Almost like this energy of sort of, they see you as somebody on some kind of quest, some kind of, maybe like in your ascension journey, for example, or a different sort of part of yourself that you're trying to really bring out into more of your dominant personality. And this person may even just be providing, it feels like, more than just energetic support, although with this King of Wands, this can speak of like an energetic kind of cloak or shield, but it's almost efforts that this person is making to sort of like give you these boosts of confidence, or this incentive to kind of continue to press forward on your path. This definitely feels like otherworldly, kind of like past life soulmate connection. This may even be a twin flame connection as well, and something to where it's your experiences with one another. Your growth and ascension may be taking place spiritually speaking. This person may be tasked with sort of overcoming things and challenges and obstacles in sort of their material world. So you're both kind of doing this work with one another, but from like different sides of the looking glass, basically. And it's the idea here with the Page of Cups of kind of, they may have come to you in the past with kind of emotional immaturity, somebody who wasn't necessarily ready to commit, kind of an in and out energy. They may have been very like flirtatious or vague with their feelings. They may have done or said something very surprising to you. You may have felt in a way kind of led on by this person, or something like there was some kind of a spark or a possibility between the two of you, and then they pulled out, they backed off from that. Leaving you with a sense of like loss and defeat, almost questioning kind of why did you open your heart to this person, only to kind of have this disappointment, and then distance occurs, but it almost feels that there's some kind of growth and maturity that has taken place. With the level of fixation that they're feeling on you at this point, in conjunction with these two kings, this feels to be somebody that may be close to, or if not on the brink of, making some kind of demonstration. That the next kind of fold over from this King of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles would be looping back to that Ace of Pentacles, some kind of an offer, some kind of a gesture, to move beyond what may just be sort of spiritual contact at this point, to, try to reestablish the line of communication between the two of you, to try to rebuild something. Or again, this idea of like meeting one another again for the first time. After this King of Wands, we've got this Ace of Wands kind of re-sparking the connection. A certain period of time, a lengthy period of time may have transpired. This person may have been kind of younger when you were dealing with them. They had other things to kind of quest and sort of learn about and grow and discover within, but they feel to have reached a place of like self-mastery and confidence within themselves, that it's, they may have a lot of success and opulence in the material world, and all that's missing is that kind of counterpart energy, that person by their side to really enjoy these things with. They may see you as like the perfect partner, kind of like a power couple sort of energy here. And it does feel to be somebody that's, they're not on the fence anymore as far as what they are wanting to bring forward to you. And it may just be sort of a process of kind of, a lot of these sort of moving parts have aligned in different ways. And there's kind of just like one more component or a few more components. There's just sort of like some final details that need to be really worked through, either in their world, in their life, in their existence, or, circumstances and situations that they're waiting for you to kind of reach some sort of threshold or break through with, before they kind of come out of this energy and speak to you, speak this truth, make this offer. It feels that they're very much aware of how to contact you, how to reach you, where you are, all of that. This isn't kind of like this lost in time and it's this mystery and sort of like, how do I ever find this person again? They're very much aware of that. They're very fixed on you. They may be in the process of kind of like magnetizing in or creating some opportunity, waiting for a particular deadline or an occurrence to sort of like reemerge, to maybe come in very unexpectedly, to pop back in a circumstance or a situation that you're not expecting them to be at, and yet there they are. And it feels to be something where it may seem kind of like coincidence, but it's something that's planned out, and kind of a lot of things needed to come into alignment in order to create this opportunity for kind of like restitution between the two of you. So I'm going to get some oracle cards to dig a little bit deeper into the nature of their feelings for you. Okay, so we have whale, breach, lightning, power, stone people, vigilance, commitment, displacement, and distraction. So there we have that emergence once again, and although it goes from a fish in the cup to now it's this huge mammal jumping out of the ocean, that really indicates kind of the growth and the maturity that has happened within this person since you were last dealing with them. It also talks about the nature of their feelings having only increased over time. This is not somebody who's still operating in the same kind of like page energy that you knew them in before. They may be somebody who's still very lighthearted, has a very kind of childlike or innocent element to them, but they have grown in kind of their strength of emotions. They may have been through some kind of emotional battle or some kind of emotional development since you were last dealing with them. There's a lot more confidence. They feel more comfortable in their own emotions. And that feels to be something that is kind of leading to this place of certainty where, maybe if they were someone very afraid of commitment before, this can be where they are commitment minded now. They're wanting to build with you, to work with you, to try and create this nest, this sanctuary. I'm even hearing like a nest egg. So it's energy of kind of like power couple here with the lightning and power as well. Wanting to create that happily ever after with you in all different ways in the material world, not just wanting to have this be something that exists up on the etheric plane or at the soul level. It feels like this whole time there's been this communication between the two of you in the subtle realms, despite what they have been demonstrating up to now, in a practical, tangible way, or despite any kind of silence and distance between you. Again, even with the stone people and vigilance, they have kept an eye on you. They've been very aware of you in the material world. And this feels to be somebody who, this has been a long time coming, kind of this slow evolution, this slow movement, but they're eroding away any kind of defense mechanisms, any kind of excuses, any of these other sort of interferences, the distractions of the past, what people would think, the opinions of other people that may have dissuaded them from investing more or continuing to invest or investing fully in the situation with you. It's almost like they've eliminated a lot of these things. They may have broken ties with people. Certain friendships may have ended. There could be distance between them and like toxic family members. If there was this sort of like a codependent family bond that may have existed, they could have broken free from that in a lot of ways. This could be somebody standing in their sovereignty. They may have gone through a total glow up or makeover in terms of what they're doing professionally, some kind of ascension journey they've been on as well. They're standing in their personal power. They're invigorated with this sense of certainty, almost like this Ace of Swords energy with the lightning here. Some kind of truth that they are wanting to bring forward. Even with those kind of implied energies of sort of the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, Ace of Swords, it's this idea of let's start fresh, let's start over, let's get to know one another again. That there's something different that they have to offer to you, a clean slate that they are working to create, and in many ways substantially have created within them, and they're kind of just very vigilant for this opportunity to kind of move forward. They're very fixed on their target, and that target is you, to build something, to reemerge, to impress you with their presence, not in a way that is very ego-based and sort of like, look at all I've created, look at all I have, but it's almost what they're wanting to demonstrate to you is look at all I have in terms of emotional awareness, in terms of maybe peace within that was lacking before. Look at what this time apart, look at what I have done with this. In the same way that you've been journeying and evolving and growing, I've been journeying and evolving and growing, to where it's almost like they have something, there's equal give and take that they are wanting to provide to you. They have something measurable, this like Ace of Pentacles that they're wanting to exchange with you, exchange of ideas, to really see, can these seeds of potential between us be revived? Is it possible for us to evolve and move beyond what has kind of held us back up to this point in time? All of these sort of like looping cycles. There's this energy of experiencing like a quantum leap beyond all these things, and they are coming not with just this kind of lofty sort of expectation of, well, someday we'll get to that point. It's like presentability and determination, seeing what they want, knowing what they want, having the ability to kind of provide you more than they had in the past, and a lot of feelings of opening up, big gestures, big revelations as far as commitment is concerned, and also things that they are wanting to explain or demonstrate to you that make you aware that this is, maybe it confirms for you that like the energetic bond between the two of you was not just in your head. There's things that they want to talk about, whole new aspects of themselves and the dynamic between the two of you that had at some point been considered like taboo or off limits before. they've not been willing to open up about these things. Maybe this can tie into the idea of someone who's like keeping tabs on you in a very protective sort of energy, that they're wanting to do their part as best as they can to help you sort of move safely and progressively along the journey that you find yourself at. If that was a journey to picking up the pieces emotionally, then this can just be like energetic support. If this is changes that you've been making in your life in different ways, it's almost like they're lending what support they can in these different sorts of ways. Things that when they reveal this to you, it may be very surprising, just kind of the ways in which they were able to really be aware of the progress in your life, things that you may have sort of misconstrued as kind of just, oh, these happy little coincidences. And it's a sense of kind of like, this was no coincidence. That idea of coincidence is just sort of a distraction from the truth of like, I have lent this support to you in a lot of ways, helping you to help yourself, along your path to this point where here we are meeting from this sense of wholeness and kind of restoration within, like two people in their own personal 10 of Pentacles energy, then able to combine and really grow into something very beautiful with one another. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self, and then I'll close it out with some initials for you. So what does this person want you to know? Okay, and they say, I stay busy so I don't think of you. So this can tie into that King of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles energy, something that they're trying to build, grow, and cultivate in the material world. Nevertheless, they are sensing your energy as that companion. There's a lot of motivation to kind of bring you something of measurable value when this person re-emerges in your life once again, not wanting to come to you in the same sort of wishy-washy energy they may have been in before. There's a deep desire to commit to breaking free from these cycles that you may find yourself kind of repeating with one another over and over again, or maybe things that you've been sort of trapped in with one another, lifetime after lifetime. This is something that in their own way they've been working on that. It's more of that energy of kind of your journeying may have been a lot on sort of the spiritual level. Their journey may have been a process of sort of like changing their material world in a certain way. So you're both covering more ground with the same kind of theme or sort of frequency, but just in different kind of layers and aspects of reality. They also say, I fear you have moved on from me. So there is a sense of urgency here, especially if it has been a long time since you've been dealing with one another. That they are very aware of that. They're not expecting you to wait forever. It feels like kind of this fear of missing out. It's a very positive force. It's the fire under them that is encouraging them to pick up the pace with something, to be very diligent about something. You are the prize that they have their eye on in a lot of ways. Although there's an emphasis here on kind of understanding that they need to make these changes and cultivate something for themselves first and foremost, but there is also consideration of, if I don't remain very consistent in this process of kind of growth and evolution, I'll miss out on the opportunity from somebody who's just going to outgrow me. They see you as somebody who is just very projected on, kind of defying the odds, defying the obstacles that you have faced or that have been placed in front of you. They're very motivated by your progress. It ties in this idea of vigilance and stone people and kind of the King of Pentacles watching in the material world. They have watched your progress and growth. It is something that is very inspirational. You serve as a companion for them, this muse or this inspiration for them to continue to press forward on their own path as well. And they also say, I'm waiting for the right time to return. So there is that confirmation of a lot of moving parts have come into place. The stars have aligned in many ways, and it's just kind of that final piece of the puzzle that needs to fall into place, before this person will make some kind of move for a lot of you in the material world. This is not somebody who's on the fence, someone who's thinking about it, someone who's very fearful. There's a determined energy with this. They have transcended those fears of the past. They have grown beyond that Page of Cups, and they are now sitting in King of Pentacles, King of Wands energy is this fixed determination, an action in the material world. They also say, I am now focused on doing the work and healing. So more confirmation of coming out of that fish in the cup, Page of Cups energy, to now they are this huge whale breaching the top of the ocean's surface. There's been a lot of evolution and growth that has happened in this person. It may be very surprising what they demonstrate to you. These revelations that have happened, the changes that they have happened to them energetically, just how different they are. This is somebody who has not been allowing time to pass in a wasteful kind of manner. You've been inspiring them. It feels like, even from sort of energetically speaking, if you aren't aware, if you it's like stone people, vigilance, you have no idea what's been going on with them. Communication has been completely non-existent in the material world. It feels almost like the opposite side of that spectrum. As much as they are watching and keeping tabs in the material world, energetically, spiritually, you may be very aware of this progress with them. It's like the two of you conjoined, or like holding hands in this process of evolution, expanding beyond versions of yourself in order to be able to facilitate a greater capacity within and without, to be able to give this situation a fresh start or move on to the next form or manifestation of what is possible between the two of you. They also say, my higher self is always by your side. So there's that energy of vigilance. They give you what assistance they can when they can. Some of this assistance has been in a material sense, but a lot of it, again, has been this motivation, this companionship, this push, energetic boosts, prayers, intentions, just everything that is really encouraging you to just stick with the goals, stick with what you're working on, continue to, love yourself more, be compassionate with yourself, to move and evolve and change, and in many ways even release an expectation of this person. That may have been a major sort of pivot point, is that you have released this connection. You have released the expectation that anything further will happen between you and this person in this lifetime, and that may have been something that was actually a huge point of liberation for each of you to fast track on this like rapid acceleration energy, that fish in the cup to the whale jumping out of the ocean, and something that, if that's the case, it feels like in a lot of ways this person credits you for that, perhaps consciously on some level, what they're able to observe, how your focus has shifted, how you turn that attention back on yourself, energetically what they're able to perceive from you and about you. And just like breathing room that they've been given, it's allowed themselves to really come into their own, to grow and mature, to do that healing work, to focus on themselves rather than being kind of like fixed on a conscious or sort of like psychic level on this like enmeshed energy with you. You've redirected your focus. It's allowed them to redirect their focus. And now it's almost like two people who are able to come back together or reconnect from their own volition in a deeper way. They also say, there's so much I want to say to you, but my words get in the way. So a lot of conversations, a lot of revelations that they want to express, details you may have only suspected but never knew about, truths, and kind of this idea of like they've been keeping tabs on you this whole time. They still love you. The love is intensified. They have been finding ways, strategizing, toiling, laboring, working to eliminate all the obstacles and barriers between the two of you, to really rise up into that better version of self, so that the two of you could meet one another again at that best version of self, reintroduce yourselves to one another, reacquaint with one another, and break beyond whatever cycle of stalemate you've been in, or like a back and forth from the past, so that there's the ability to kind of pivot beyond that, to explore some uncharted waters in this situation between the two of you. A lot that this person has expanded as far as their spiritual knowledge, even this idea of being more comfortable in their emotions. This might have been somebody that had a really hard time expressing those feelings, someone who could have been a very kind of practical, logical person, someone who just sort of stuffed and suppressed and moved forward. A lot of kind of like unhealed trauma and baggage that it feels like they've been in a process of dealing with, focusing on the healing work, on doing that growth for themselves. And so what they feel on the brink to being able to present to you is not just promises of change, but like action that corresponds with a transformation on a profound level that has happened for them. And we also have divine source sending signs, guiding each twin. We both see the signs. So that can be that confirmation there. If you're wondering, do they see the signs? Do they see the synchronicity? Are they aware of this as like a spiritual connection, a soulmate connection, a twin flame connection? Yes, there's that confirmation that for a period of time, they may have tried to bury themselves in the practical world, just dismiss these things. That might have worked for a period of time, but it almost feels to be something when you disconnected, it gave them this wider scope and space to be able to sort of look around, to connect these dots for themselves in a lot of ways, to sort of put those pieces together for themselves, to come to their own conclusions, which it feels like has been very necessary for this growth and evolution. It's two people who are in sort of their own leadership roles in their own life and are receiving the same types of signs and synchronicities. This can be part of what is involved in like these big conversations, a lot that they want to tell you that they might have been in denial about before, blind or oblivious to before, but they recognize this now, and it's creating this sense of urgency of like, I have to get back to this person. We need to move forward with one another. And they also say, what you can't see, our divine plan, trust in our story. So more of that energy of, whatever has occurred between you in the past, this is not all there is to experience in this situation. This is somebody who is interested in writing a new chapter with you, kind of rewriting the script and narrative between the two of you, rebalancing the power dynamic between the two of you, a sense of almost like bigger things that you are supposed to experience and accomplish or even create with one another. This can be some kind of shared purpose or mission, some kind of spiritual business, even like creating a family with one another, creating a home, creating a life with one another, something that may be long overdue. They're trusting in this process. They're trusting in the signs that they are getting. And this feels to be somebody who's very much on the brink of taking that action in the material world. And with both of those kings, these particular kings in general, this is direct energy. This is not somebody who's just going to allude to something or hint at something. Also with that big whale kind of energy, this is in your face. This is someone who comes out in the open with these feelings, with these intentions, with the nature of that communication, where before they may have been kind of wishy-washy or vague or elusive or a little bit keeping things sort of like secretive or vague, but it feels like they've stepped into this energy of confidence and that this is what they're getting ready to bring forth to you in the material world. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got F, W, H, S, G, Y, A, V, U, K, W, S, B, V, M, D, A, N, and Q. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of readings related to subjects other than love and romance, so things such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.